Hi there, Rebecca here, your Vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. Hopping in for a new kind of energy update. While I usually just create an energy update when there is a lot of solar activity or there's maybe a lot of astrological activity, or even if it's not something that can be measured, but rather we're still feeling a high level of intensity. And I will continue to do those as the need arises, but I'm also going to start doing more of an intuitive energy reading at the start of the week. And I have noticed that there are themes that are playing out for the collective, either through the groups that I'm engaging in, through the clients that I'm engaging in, or even just what I'm feeling. And so oftentimes it's very helpful to be reminded that you are not alone in this, that we're all feeling the themes that are currently passing in, out, and around and through us. And so it's often helpful to have someone say, hey, I'm feeling that too. So wanted to start hopefully on Mondays, provided nothing comes up. I should be here every Monday to give you an intuitive energy reading for the week. And if the energies happen to carry over into the week, so we'll discuss that when the time arises. But for now, I am noticing point one is a very, very strong sense of change. Oftentimes I would feel that in the fall, typically, the winds of change that come in the fall. This energy has sort of that sense to it. I wanted to use the term impending doom, which sounds terrible, but that's kind of what it feels like. And it reminds me more so of sort of the energy of Pluto, the death and destruction. We don't have any Pluto aspects necessarily going on collectively. You may personally, I do personally, so that might be where that's coming from. But more so, many people around me, just everything is changing. And I think the reason that impending doom is the word that came to mind was because it really is just the destruction of everything that we know so that it can be rebuilt. And everything is changing. And it's a significant transition point that it almost feels like a choice point where so many things are falling away, so many things that have been consistent in our lives, whether you go to the same grocery store and that grocery store closes, or you've been going to a certain gym for 20 years and things have fallen apart and you decide not to go there anymore. Or your kids are graduating, you're going off to college and you're now an empty nester, things of that nature. And so it's not necessarily doom, but it is very much a crumbling of the old, that we're approaching eclipse season. This often can be a big trigger point where things shift massively in your life in whatever house that eclipse happens to be happening in, and that is coming at the end of April. But just generally, a lot of intensity in the solar activity, a lot of intensity in the astrological activity, and a lot of intensity in the world events, in all that we have dealt with over the last couple of years, and things that are going on now. So try to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing things as crumbling or doom or falling away, it's rather that things are falling into place, that we are being set on our accurate path. We are being migrated towards our goals, our purpose, the right path for us, and that when things fall away, when things shift and change, it is part of the grand plan, and it is going to serve you, because life is always happening for you, not to you. And so it very much is about the perspective that we choose, whether or not we're going to see this as a good thing or as a scary thing. And sometimes uncertainty can make people very uncomfortable. And again, it is a choice. You have a choice of how you perceive this and what story we tell ourselves. And when things are uncertain, when we can see that things are falling away, we know that it may feel uncomfortable because we are choosing a thought that is not serving us. And that thought is creating stressful chemicals in our body, and it's creating discomfort in our body. It's creating nervous anxiety or even depression. And we can shift that. That is a choice that we can tell ourselves a new story. We can choose to come from a place of anticipation or awe or curiosity. Curiosity happens to be my favorite. This works every time, to just kind of sit back and say, I wonder how this is going to work out. I can see that this thing is falling away. Nature abhors a vacuum, which basically means anytime that there is a hole left in your life, it will be filled. It is a law. It must happen. And so we can sit with curiosity and say, I wonder how this is going to play out. I wonder how this is going to serve me and create a better situation for my life. And through that curiosity, we can sit back and watch and know that our creator has a plan, that everything's going to fall into place as long as we are taking the divinely guided action that we are being asked to take on a regular basis. We don't have to do the heavy lifting. And so that feeling of, that's like the fourth or fifth thing in my life that has been consistent and is now changing. I wonder how that's going to play out. And especially if you're like me, you set big goals, you manifest big things, that's going to require big changes. And so it is all part of the process, and we can just come from a place of certainty in the fact that we are cared for, because the uncertainty is what makes us uncomfortable. We just tell ourselves a new story. And so, yes, my kids are going to be with all new classmates because they're shifting grades, and other kids are going to other schools, and we are going to stick with it. And so it'll be interesting to see how they have new classmates and new friends. And who knows, my manifestation to live in a tropical environment may be coming. Housing is a little uncertain right now, and the kids might not be in that school, and the gym is not really working out for me. And I did meet somebody else who teaches that class that I really like. So it's all part of the process. It's always happening for us and not to us. So number two, I would say, is there are, of course, always unresolved issues asking for our attention, but I would say it's more so now that I see a lot of depression, a lot of dark night of the soul, and of course, that is my work. So I assist people with this, but it's becoming even more amplified right now. And I do partially believe that point to unresolved issues, or even old issues coming up asking for our attention, is partially driven by the Jupiter conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So Pisces in the whole sign astrology is the 12th house, and that is where our deepest, darkest fears are. It can be things that are hiding in the shadows. It can be addictions. It can be, again, traumas that are sort of hidden in the body that are driving our lives that we can't see. And of course, this energy is amplified right now with the conjunction coming up on the 12th. There certainly is more of a ramp up. And so if you've struggled with addiction in the past, you may find that it's kind of knocking at your door right now, especially narcissism. I'm finding that there's a lot of different points of feedback coming at me saying, yes, the narcissism is sort of ramped up right now. And I see the analogy of a cornered, wounded animal, that energy is dying, that the old is falling away. And it's kind of as if the energy is pining for that one last piece of energy to survive. It's fighting for its life. And anybody who shines light on, I see what you're doing, is a threat to that. And so they lash out. You want to see, can they get their claws in just one last time? And so just know that energy is prevalent. It doesn't mean that it's growing or getting stronger. It actually means that it's dying. And what we can do to assist in the death of that is to completely turn away from it, not give it attention, not pay attention to it. Focus on love, focus on the good, focus on what you want to build, and know that the rest will take care of itself. What you resist persists. What you ignore must die. And that is how we assist in changing the world. That is how we heal the wounds, we heal the narcissistic theme that is rampant through our society right now, is through love and through focusing on building heaven on earth. And it can be confusing when people are kind of stuck in that 3D perspective. They feel like, I have to see this and I have to fight against it and I have to fix it. And unfortunately, that only assists it in growing. So just know that if your addictions are amplified, your favorite narcissist is knocking on your door, that again, it is not indication that they are getting stronger or coming back, but rather it's kind of like, I use the analogy of planet retrogrades, where we kind of take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. We have to revisit this one last time, and we get a little bit stronger. We take away one more piece of wisdom. We are reminded that we don't want to go back to that addiction. We're reminded what it was like to be in the grasp of that narcissist. And so it makes us stronger. And we step forward and we say, I will not give this authority over me. I will not fall back into that addiction, that I am stronger than that. And so those are certainly things that are in my life. And I appreciate anyone else who is struggling with the same. I wouldn't say I'm struggling, but it's prevalent, right? It's dancing around. So just watch that. And then also, due to the same aspects, dreams coming true, dreams are, and again, it also ties into number 1, sort of that choice point, those crossroads, the things that are falling away, provides us the opportunity to choose our dreams, to pick which direction we're going to go. And of course, with this aspect also comes the potential for rose-colored glasses. And so we have to be very careful to make sure that what we are seeing, while it may seem like a dream come true, is not coming from a place of deception. It's not that old narcissist trying to put on a good front saying, I'll be the thing that you always wanted to be, which if you follow me, you know is one of my challenges. So just watch for those rose-colored glasses. We want to make sure that we stay strong in our knowing and don't start questioning ourselves when we have that intuitive insight. Remember, the first thing that comes when you ask for guidance, that first thought is going to be your intuitive guidance. Everything after that is the ego trying to rationalize and understand and label and bucket and all those fun things that will cause a whole lot of exhaustion and confusion. That clarity came from that first moment, and what we need to do from there is just shut down the mind and be in the body, be in the sensing instead of the thinking. And then finally, I would say number 3 is a sense of motivated discipline. That with all of these things dancing around us, we have this choice point. We have the old falling away. We have the space that is left when something leaves us, and having the motivation to be disciplined to make sure that what we fill that space with is going to serve us. And this too is supported by an aspect, Saturn conjunct Mars. Mars is motivation. Mars can also be aggression. Saturn is foundations and structure. It can also be limitations. So it really is up to us to understand how to use these energies. That with every aspect, every situation in life, anything, there is always a positive and negative manifestation. We live in a dualistic world, that we have the choice, we have the authority, we have the power within us to decide how we're going to work with the energies, how we're going to be the alchemist, how we're going to make the choices, learn how to use our crystalline structure to redirect that energy in a creative, loving, and supportive way. That we are all in this together. And so when we get a little oomph from Mars, we get that motivation to be disciplined, to do the right thing, to say no to those things that are knocking at our doors or dancing around us, and to choose the path that is driven by the heart, driven by the soul, driven by your divine guidance. So that is all I have for you today. Beautiful, beautiful energies. Do know that if you feel any density or heaviness today, that is normal, that it will not last, that it likely is due to the Mars-Saturn conjunction that is happening today. It will pass pretty quickly. It's not, nothing is ever always, which is one of my favorite sayings. And this too shall pass, that we're being asked to look at these things, to notice what is no longer serving us, to notice where things need to fall away, to make a commitment, to take motivated, disciplined action, to pulling the weeds in our lives, to being certain that we say no to these negatives that are knocking at our door, dancing around us, so that we can say yes to the dreams. And all of that energy is very prevalent right now. So I love you guys. If you need any support, you know where to find me, links below, and I will see you on the next video. Namaste.